Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So in part 2 of learning to code Python, what we're going to be basically discussing is variables, assigning variables, and some basic introduction to data types. So what do we mean by variables? So in the concepts video, I discussed the idea of x equals a plus b. So a plus b plus or even x are all variables. They're letters or names given to a certain data type. So it's the same in maths. You have a equals 5, for example, b equals 2, and then you do something with those numbers. So we're going to do the same thing here essentially. So I want you to open up idle and you'll see your terminal window again. Press Ctrl N to open up a script window, and in this script window we're just essentially going to write our program. So the first variable, I'm going to use the example I already mentioned, which is a equals 5. That's all you have to do. That's essentially just telling the program in this mailbox slot called a, give it the data 5. B equals 2. You now have a equals 5 and b equals 2. Now, the first thing we're going to do with these two numbers is essentially add them together. So what I want to do is print a plus b, and that's the end of our code. So I'm just going to save that as test2 for me anyways, and just run it. You can see there my output was 7. The program's working perfectly fine. Now, what else can we do with numbers? Well, we can multiply them. So if I was to do print a times b, you're going to get the same result. Print a divided by b, and finally print a minus b. And if I run that now, you're basically getting the result of all those different operations essentially. And the good thing about this and in Python in general is that it's very easy to understand what the code's doing. You know, you're starting from the top of the code, you're assigning these variables, and you continuing to print more items out. So the way Python works is that Python uses a lot of B.I.D.M.A.S. Well, not a lot of it. It works on B.I.D.M.A.S. So if you want to do any mathematical operations, just remember to use B.I.D.M.A.S as one of your the way the operation is basically working. So this is essentially how you assign data to a variable. You can also assign strings. So strings are what we mentioned earlier in the previous video about what you can print. So if I write name Millen, so now we have a mailbox called name that contains my name, which is Millen. And if I was to run this program right now, it wouldn't do anything, so I just wanted to print my name out. So you go print name and press OK, and it's printed out the name that is Millen essentially. So that's all good. So the next thing that you might be asking is, what about my surname? So you'll be doing surname equals B.I.D.M.A.S. So we have my name, which is Millen, and you have my surname, which is B.I.D.M.A.S. So I want to put these two things together, and the question is, how do you do that? So the first way is print name, and you're going to use the plus symbol here, because plus in Python means join two things together. So I'm going to plus my surname, and what that's going to do is basically stick my surname with my first name. And if I was to run that, you can see the result there is Millen B.I.D.M.A.S. Say I wanted to add a space between the two items. Well, you would essentially not use a plus, use a comma instead, and run, well, not B.I.D.M.A.S. there, you put surname, and run that code instead, and you've got now a space between the two words. So if you ever need to write anything out, remember you can use a space is given by a comma, and plus joins the two words together as one. So what else can you do with strings essentially? Well, you can print out the first letter. So the way counting works in all computer science or any coding language essentially is you start from 0. 0 is always the first number that you count from, and you go to whatever you want to count to. So in this example here, 0 is equated to M, 1 is equated to I, 2 is equated to L, 3 is A, and then 4 is N, instead of the normal way of 1 being M, etc., etc. So if I was to print this right now, what we're going to get here is M being printed out to the console. And that's all we need to know really for that. Always count from 0. It's one thing people always forget. Now, say I wanted to print my first name, or say I wanted to print my nickname. If I went 0 and then put that there, we're basically saying, can you print from 0 until X number? So what I'm going to put here is 2, because let's say we're counting from, MIL. That's 0, 1, 2. And then you close that off and you print. Now, one of the things you're going to notice here is that it's only printed MI. Now, that's because when you use indexes to basically create substrings, which is what this is it's a portion of a normal string, aka a substring. What you're going to notice is that the number that you put is where it cuts off. So unfortunately, in this example, you're going to have to use 0 to 3, and that will tell it to print M, I, and L. Even though it says 3, which is this number, it will tell it basically stop there. Run that and you're basically getting the word mill printed out. So the next thing I'm just going to quickly cover with you for this video is data types and variables. So data types, there are 3 data types that you're going to see in this code right here. You've got integers. Integers are, integers. You've got floats. Floats are numbers that are not integers and they are decimals, and likewise anything else. So 2.5 is the float that you see, and you have strings, which are obviously strings are words or letters, or even numbers can be strings if you put speech marks around them. So anything with speech marks is basically a string. So that's all we're going to basically cover in this video today. It's a very simple video bringing you an introduction into what variables are, how they work, how you can manipulate strings, and how you can manipulate numbers. Remember, count from 0. We use B.I.D.M.A.S, and that's basically it. If you want to have a play around, do some more things. In the next video, we're going to be looking at how to take user input, because all of this is all good and everything, but what if I wanted you to write your name into my program? Well, you can obviously type it in on the keyboard and change the code, but it's better to make it so that a user can enter their name and then do things with that name. So I'll be showing you that in the next video. Hope you guys have enjoyed. Subscribe, like, and if there's any feedback, just let me know. This is only the 3rd video that's come out on this channel, so we definitely got space to improve. So thank you guys. I hope you have a lovely time coding.